Mother was betrayed and abandoned by her children in a nursing home, but they could never have imagined what she would be capable of. Dear viewers, welcome to our channel. Subscribe to receive more stories every day. In the serene suburb of Cedar Ridge, the standout feature was a grand house surrounded by an exquisite garden, bursting with colors and meticulously arranged flower beds. This was the home of Eleanor Harris, a spirited 75-year-old widow whose warmth was well known within the community. Her house, radiant with floral vibrancy, contrasted sharply with the quiet solitude that marked her daily existence. Eleanor's children, Michael and Annabelle, had long since relocated to distant cities for their careers. What were once regular, lively visits had dwindled over the years to sporadic phone calls and holiday greetings, leaving Eleanor often reminiscing about the past, surrounded by fading photographs and cherished mementos. On a cool evening, as she settled into her velvet-cushioned armchair with a steaming cup of herbal tea, Eleanor's gaze fell upon a family portrait that adorned the mantelpiece, a snapshot of happier times, her children's laughter almost echoing in the silent room. "Oh, Michael, Annabelle, how I wish you were here," she murmured to herself, a lone tear tracing her cheek. Her reverie was broken by the piercing trill of the telephone. With a trembling hand, she reached for the receiver, her heart alight with hope. "Hello, Mom, it's Michael," came the voice from the other end, a balm to her lonely heart. "My dear boy, how I've missed hearing your voice," Eleanor replied, her spirits lifting. "We've missed you too, Mom. Annabelle and I have been talking, and we think it's time we came to visit," Michael said, his voice carrying a hint of something unsaid. Eleanor felt a surge of joy. That would be absolutely wonderful. As she replaced the receiver, a smile spread across her face, not realizing that this conversation was the precursor to a series of events that would irrevocably change her life. Days later, as autumn's chill began to seep into the evenings, the glow of headlights bathed her front porch. Michael and Annabelle stepped out of the car, their expressions unreadable in the dim light. Annabelle, always the more emotional of the two, looked anxiously at Michael. "Do you think she'll go along with it?" Michael, his features set in resolve, nodded. "She has to, for all our sakes." They approached the house, their footsteps heavy with unspoken truths. Eleanor opened the door, her face alight with joy. "Michael, Annabelle, this is such a surprise," she exclaimed, pulling them into a warm embrace. Come in. I've just made some dinner." The night passed with shared stories and laughter, but beneath the surface, Michael and Annabelle harbored a secret that threatened to shatter the fragile reunion. As they gathered around the dinner table, the house filled with the sounds of Michael and Annabelle catching up on the years they had been away. They spoke of their lives in the city, their careers, and the little challenges they faced, weaving a tapestry of tales that brought fleeting warmth to Eleanor's heart. Yet, they carefully skirted around the deeper issues plaguing their lives, issues that had compelled them to reconnect with their mother under less than honest pretenses. In the days that followed, Michael and Annabelle became fixtures in Eleanor's daily life, their visits growing from weekly to nearly every day. They helped her with household chores, brought her small gifts, and spent hours in the garden she loved so dearly. Eleanor, basking in the joy of their renewed presence, dared to hope that perhaps they could be a family again. However, one evening, as they sat in the living room with cups of tea warming their hands, Michael broached the subject that had been weighing on his mind. "Mom," he started hesitantly, "Annabelle and I have been doing a lot of thinking. We miss you, and we hate thinking of you here all alone." Eleanor looked at her children, her heart swelling with love. "I miss you both so much too." "Well," Annabelle cut in, her voice trembling slightly, "we were wondering, what do you think about selling this house and moving to the city with us?" The question hung in the air, heavy with implications. Eleanor's eyes widened, a mix of surprise and joy flickering across her features. She loved her home deeply. It was her sanctuary, filled with memories and the spirit of her late husband. Yet the thought of being close to her children, of not spending her days in the echoing silence of her large house, was too tempting to dismiss. After several nights of restless thought, Eleanor made her decision. With a heart full of mixed emotions, she shared her resolve with Michael and Annabelle during one of their evening visits. I've thought long and hard about what you both suggested, she began, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. And I've decided. I'll sell the house. I'll move to the city with you. The siblings exchanged a quick, almost imperceptible look of relief. Oh, Mom, that's wonderful news, Annabelle exclaimed, rising to embrace her. You won't regret this. The city has so much to offer, and we'll be together. With the decision made, the pace of life seemed to quicken. The house was put on the market and, to Eleanor's astonishment, sold much quicker than she had anticipated. She found herself surrounded by moving boxes, packing up decades of life and memories. It's hard to say goodbye, Eleanor confided to Michael as they packed up the last of the photo albums. But I'm looking forward to starting anew, close to you both. Don't worry, Mom, Michael reassured her, placing a comforting arm around her shoulders. You're going to love the city, and we'll be right there with you. Yet, as they drove away from the house that had been her home for so long, Eleanor couldn't shake a growing sense of unease. It was a feeling that would only intensify when they reached their destination. Not a cozy apartment as she had imagined, but the stark, impersonal entrance of a modern retirement home. Michael, Annabelle, what is this? Eleanor asked, confusion and a hint of fear in her voice as she stared at the building before her. We're so sorry, Mom, Michael began, his voice cracking with emotion. We can't actually afford to keep you with us in the city. But with the money from the house, we've secured a place for you here. It's one of the best facilities. Eleanor felt a chill run through her as the truth of their deception settled in. Tears blurred her vision as she realized the extent of her children's betrayal. They had manipulated her loneliness and her love for them to solve their own financial crises. I understand, she managed to say, her voice a mere whisper. Her heart was breaking, but her spirit was not yet defeated. As she stepped into the new chapter of her life, Eleanor was unaware that this painful ending would soon give way to an unexpected new beginning. As Eleanor settled into the retirement home, her initial days were clouded with sadness and betrayal. The modern facilities and well-maintained gardens were cold comfort compared to the life she had envisioned with her children. Despite the friendly staff and fellow residents who tried to welcome her, Eleanor's heart longed for her home, her garden, and most painfully, the illusion of a family reunited. But as the weeks turned into months, Eleanor began to find a new rhythm to her days. She attended art classes held in the community room, joined the book club, and slowly started to form friendships with some of the other residents. Each new connection brought a small spark of joy into her life, igniting a resilience she hadn't realized she possessed. One crisp autumn day, while wandering through the retirement home's garden, Eleanor spotted a quaint, run-down house across the street. It was for sale and seemed as lonely and forgotten as she felt. A daring thought struck her. What if she could start over again, not in the shadow of her children's choices, but on her own terms? Eleanor quietly tapped into the savings she had hidden away, funds she had never disclosed to Michael or Annabelle. With a mix of fear and excitement, she contacted the real estate agent and, within weeks, became the owner of the little house. When she announced her decision to Michael and Annabelle during one of their guilt-ridden visits, they were shocked. Mom, you can't possibly manage on your own in that old place, Michael protested. I'm stronger than you think, Eleanor replied, a steely edge to her voice. And this will be my home. Moving day arrived, and Eleanor felt a bittersweet thrill as she stepped into her new house. It needed work, but it was hers. Her determination was met with enthusiasm by her new neighbors, a young couple with a vibrant energy that reminded her of herself in younger days. Emily and Ben Johnson, along with their lively 6-year-old twins Lucas and Sophie, immediately offered their help. Mrs. Harris, this house has good bones, Ben assured her as they assessed the peeling paint and overgrown garden. We'll help you fix it up. The Johnsons were true to their word. Over the next few months, Eleanor's new home underwent a transformation. The twins' laughter filled the air as they helped plant new flowers in the garden, while Emily and Ben tackled the more strenuous tasks. Eleanor found herself invigorated, her days filled with purpose and camaraderie. The house, once so forlorn, began to shine under their collective efforts. It became a place of warmth and laughter, a stark contrast to the deception that had sent her there. Eleanor's heart, once heavy with grief, now swelled with gratitude and a newfound sense of family. As the seasons changed, so did Eleanor's life. Her bond with the Johnson family deepened, and she became an integral part of their lives, cherished as a surrogate grandmother to the twins, who adored her stories and wisdom. But the story of her betrayal by her own children was not forgotten. Eleanor, with the help of Emily, who had become a dear friend and confidant, decided to secure her future differently. They consulted with a lawyer to ensure her new assets and her wishes would be protected. Months later, during a particularly snowy winter, as Eleanor sat by her newly installed fireplace, the weight of years seemed lighter. The house was alive with the sounds of the holiday season, and Eleanor knew she had reclaimed her life. Yet Michael and Annabel, unaware of the full extent of Eleanor's recovery and empowerment, harbored thoughts of reconciliation, driven by lingering guilt and undisclosed financial needs. Their next visit would bring revelations and confrontations that would test the bonds of this new family Eleanor had formed. As Eleanor prepared for the upcoming visit, she felt a mix of anticipation and resolve. She was no longer the vulnerable mother they had left at the retirement home. She was a woman reborn in the fires of betrayal and resilience. The next chapter of her life was about to unfold, promising new challenges and the potential for forgiveness, or the final closure of past wounds. Eleanor's anticipation grew as the day of Michael and Annabel's visit approached. She prepared her home with a mix of nervous excitement and resolve. The house, now fully restored and exuding warmth and charm, was a testament to her new life and independence. The thought of facing her children under these changed circumstances gave Eleanor a sense of empowerment she hadn't felt in years. On a chilly winter afternoon, Michael and Annabel arrived. They were taken aback by the transformation of the house and their mother's vibrant demeanor. Eleanor welcomed them warmly, yet with a newfound firmness that signaled she was no longer the same person they had manipulated. "Mom, this place. It's incredible," Annabel murmured, looking around in disbelief. "Yes, it is," Eleanor agreed, her voice steady. "I found a new life here, one that I built on my own terms." As they sat down in the living room, now cozy with plush furnishings and a crackling fire, the air was thick with unspoken apologies and questions. Michael cleared his throat, breaking the silence. "Mom, we're sorry," he started, his voice faltering. "We never should have done what we did. Seeing you like this, so strong and happy, it's more than we expected." Eleanor nodded, acknowledging their apology with a gracious yet reserved smile. "Thank you for saying that. It means a lot to hear you acknowledge it." Annabel, tears brimming in her eyes, reached out tentatively. "Can you forgive us, Mom?" Eleanor paused, her gaze sweeping over the faces of her children, reflecting the pain and love of a mother's conflicted heart. "Forgiveness isn't simple," she began, her voice soft but firm. "What happened changed everything. But I believe in second chances, though they come with expectations." Michael and Annabel listened intently as Eleanor outlined those expectations: honesty, respect, and a genuine effort to be part of her life without hidden agendas. As the evening wore on, the atmosphere lightened slightly. They shared a meal, talked about their lives, and tentatively bridged the gap that deceit had widened. Eleanor introduced them to Emily, Ben, and the twins, who dropped by to say hello, demonstrating the strong community bonds she had formed. The visit ended on a hopeful note, with promises to stay in touch and rebuild their relationship slowly. After they left, Eleanor felt a mix of relief and cautious optimism. She had faced her past with dignity and opened the door to the future on her terms. In the months that followed, Eleanor's life continued to flourish. She became even more involved in her community, initiating a local gardening project that brought together residents from all walks of life. Her home was often filled with friends, laughter, and the joyful noise of the twins playing. Michael and Annabel made efforts to visit more frequently, each encounter less awkward and more genuine. They began to understand the depth of their mother's strength and resilience, which in turn inspired them to address their own shortcomings and rebuild not just their relationship with her but with each other as well. As the seasons changed, Eleanor felt a profound sense of contentment. Her home was a sanctuary not only for herself but for all who needed warmth and kindness. Her legacy, she realized, would not be defined by the material wealth she had once possessed but by the richness of her relationships and the love she fostered. Years later, Eleanor, surrounded by her extended family and friends, celebrated her 80th birthday. The house buzzed with energy, filled with people whose lives she had touched. As she blew out the candles on her cake, Eleanor's eyes sparkled with tears of joy. She had not only survived the hardest times but had thrived, creating a life filled with love and meaning. "Here's to new beginnings, no matter when they start," Eleanor toasted, her voice echoing through the room, met with cheers and applause. And as the party continued, the laughter and conversation swirling around her, Eleanor knew that this chapter of her life was exactly as she had hoped it would be. Full and rewarding, a testament to the enduring power of resilience and the capacity for change. Dear viewers, thank you for watching. If you like this story, please subscribe to our channel to receive more stories every day. Share with us what you think of this story.